Okay, so as I've said before, this is my very first time, my second time going live, and I think something happened because if you look over here, let me see how this is crazy. You look right there on my laptop, it shows the live thing, but when I came here, it didn't pop up. So I'm not sure why it wouldn't allow me to go live on the one I scheduled. So this is one of the first times I run into a situation. So not really sure what's going on, but this is the first issue I ran into. So if you're just popping in here, we are doing the top 6 mistakes that writers make when trying to structure their book. And for some reason, I couldn't connect to the link that I pre-scheduled. So that was the second time I ran into an issue from going live on YouTube. But we're not going to worry about it. Let me get a little light in here real quick first. Okay. All right. So we're not going to worry about it. We're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. So if you don't know who I am, I'm T Styles. And I'm going to make sure I think Sharice is trying to send me a message. People probably trying to find out what's going on with the other live. She's wrong. Okay. All right. If you're just popping in, I'm T Styles, and I own and operate the Elite Writers Academy, where I teach people how to build their book businesses through story structure, marketing, and publishing. And I've been doing this for a couple years. I love what I do because when I first came into the industry, I didn't really have anybody to really guide me. So I made a lot of mistakes, and the mistakes that I made were actually on point because it allowed me to maneuver and get to the point where I was able to get my books done in a efficient fashion, as opposed to wasting a lot of time and things like that. So that's why I like to share with up and coming writers how to do their books so that they don't waste so much time. So I've been doing or helping people with one-on-ones for a little bit over 2 years. And there are 6 things that I come in contact with every time that they, in regards to their books, okay? And the 6 things happen at different times, but for the most part, it's the same. These are the same issues with all of the women who have major continuity issues within their books. So they'll find that they run into at least 2 or 3 of these mistakes, okay? First of all, why are we talking about this? Okay, so when in a rush or just confused on structure, writers often miss the opportunity to develop their stories effectively, and which causes continuity problems throughout the book. So in other words, things are not adding up. You got the antagonist and you don't know what the antagonist is there for. You got a bunch of sub-characters, just a whole bunch of craziness. So that's why it's so important in the beginning, if you can remember, to structure your books the right way. Okay, so why is this important? Why is structure a big deal? First of all, if your novel is not structured correctly, you're most likely not finish it. When I run into situations where I'm trying to help people finish their books, it's mainly because they don't understand what it is they're doing. And it's sad because a lot of these writers have stories that are needing to be told. So if they don't know why they're telling the story, or how rather, they won't finish. The next one is, without understanding structure, you're not going to have a product that you're proud of. You're not going to have a book that you want everybody to read. You're going to probably want nobody to read it and definitely not review it. So it's really important to make sure that you have that, okay? And then the third thing is, readers who are reading your book, they're not going to be able to say to you, oh, the protagonist don't have a motivation. I'm not really getting your conflict points. They're not going to be able to tell you any of that. What they're going to do is not finish the book. And we need them to finish the book, okay? So those are the reasons why this is so important. So now I want to go into the 6 mistakes I see the most. The first one is the book starting off slow. Okay, so if a novel starts off slow, especially if you're not a writer who's been out there a while, people will again put the book down. I was talking earlier on Clubhouse about me. I like a slow burn when I'm watching a movie. There's this show called Better Call Saul, right? And when I'm looking at Better Call Saul, I enjoy the fact that it's a slow burn, that I'm really trying to figure out, what's going on. I like those things because I trust the directors and the writers of the show. But when you're reading a book from an unknown author, in a lot of cases, folks is not feeling to start off slow. So you want to make sure you start in with action, dialogue, motion and things like that. So starting off slow is the number one thing. The second issue or mistake I see is too much backstory. When you understand structure, you know that within them earlier pages, you're world building and you're building up to what we call the push out of the window moment, what I call with my students. And it's the moment where the character must address something that has occurred. It's a situation, something has occurred. This situation has to be big. And when you are writing and you understand structure, you know that the goal is to get to that point. But if you aren't familiar with structure, what happens is you do a lot of backstory, you talk about things in the past that don't matter, and before you know it, your book is never getting done, okay? So that is the second mistake, too much backstory. The third is that they don't understand plot, what we're talking about, okay? And I'm looking at my notes because I always want to make sure I'm on point. But what is plot? So plot is the sequence of events where each affects the next, one through principle and cause and effect. So something happens, something else happens as a result of that, and then something else happens as a result of that. And that continues to happen until you get to your end, okay? So if you don't understand how to put in those plot points because you don't understand plot, then it's a big mistake. I teach writing two ways. The first way is to write, and this is when you are a new writer, but the first way is to write every day for 30 days. And I tell people to do it that way if they are new to writing. So they don't have any idea what they're doing. They know they want to write a book, but because they haven't written before, they need to get their creative juices running. So that first way works. But the other way is necessary for writers who've written 2 or more books, okay? You have to know what it is you're doing. And because of that, you want to stay on an outline. Outlines are like guides. If I tell you to give you the directions to, I want to take you out somewhere to a restaurant, and I tell you to get there the best you can, and you've never been there before, it's going to be hard to find. You may be able to get online, but it'll be easier if I try to give you some instructions, especially if it's more than one restaurant with the same name. So that's what an outline does, and when writers don't understand how to connect these plot points to get to the ending or to formulate their book, it just throws everything off. So an outline helps with that, okay? The fourth mistake that I see, and this is big, they're writing a book based off of a premise, and it's a premise that's not complete. So something happened, and they want to write a book based off of this thing that happened, but they don't know the situations or the events that led to that, or in a lot of cases, what happened after that. So it's hard to say, I want to write a book based off of the time I got into a car accident. What caused the car accident? Or I'm writing a book based off of somebody I know that got into a car accident. Okay, so what happened that led up to that car accident? Was the person drunk? Was they all over the place? Were they in a bad relationship? Did they lose a job? Did someone they love get hurt? Did they fall off the wagon? I hate that term, but were they sober and then all of a sudden something happened? What led up to that? So when you're writing a book based off of a premise that's not fully complete, you're going to run into an issue, okay? And this is the mistake that I see a lot. And the fifth mistake is writing a book based off of page count. So you want to write a book. So in your mind, you say, I'm just going to keep putting word after word after word and then fluff up the book because I got 230, 280 pages. I should be good. And you think the reader is not going to feel that something is off. They're absolutely going to feel that it's off. They're not going to be able to tell you in a lot of cases that your protagonist is weak, that your antagonist is a better character, that you got too many sub-characters. They're not going to always be able to do that unless you get a book reviewer. The book reviewers who've been reading books for a long time, they understand what it is they're doing, and they're going to probably tell you. But the average reader is not going to do that. They're just going to say that the book is not where it needs to be. So you don't really want that at all. So writing a book just for the sake of page count is a major mistake that I see a lot of writers make. And the final one is this final one. Actually, I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, the sixth one. This one is, I really don't think that it's a mistake, but I think it will help a lot of writers. And that's knowing the ending. It's a mistake if they are all over the place. Say they are trying to get to the end and complete it. If they don't know their ending, they're going to make a lot of circles. And the reason why I didn't really want to make this as a mistake, but it still made it on my list, is when you are writing your ending, you don't have to make it so concrete where you can't change it. So instead of saying the person finds the love of her life in the library waiting on her, you could just say the main character reconnects with the love of her life. That way, we know that it's going to happen, but how, where, and why is still up for grasp. So you're not locking yourself in that way. So that's why I wanted to put it on the list, but I don't want it to be a mistake. Only if you are running into issues where it's not flowing, then it could be a mistake. Because if you had that ending, you know where you're going. Just like I mentioned earlier about if we're on a date or I'm taking somebody out, I say meet me at a restaurant, and it's a bunch of restaurants with the same name, by me saying, all right, meet me at this specific restaurant, that's the end place. That's the end goal. So, or meet me at an Italian restaurant. We're going to meet at an Italian restaurant. And I'll call you tomorrow to tell you which one. Okay, now I know I'm eating Italian. I may not know where I'm eating, but I do know I'm eating Italian. So that's how you want to do your endings, especially if you're somebody that finds themselves all over the place. So I'm going to go over the 6 mistakes again. And I'm so happy this is my second day of going live. I really did it. I'm going to be doing 60 days, but they all may not be on YouTube, but they will all be live. So if you're not following me on Facebook, you definitely want to do that. Also on IG too. Let's go over to a recount. And if you want more of this, like, subscribe, and share. Okay, the first one is starts off slow. That's a major mistake that writers make. They start their books off slow. Second, too much backstory. You're writing too much backstory. We don't really care about those characters in the beginning. We need to have action. We really need to, oh, thank you, Rashida. I'm so glad you caught me too. We really need to make sure that we know what is the problem before we get into who these people are, okay? Number 3, they don't understand plot. So they just know that they want to write a book, but they don't understand that they need to have a protagonist that has a firm desire and goal, even if they don't know what that goal is. They don't know that the primary reason for an antagonist or villain is to push the hero to change. That's what they're doing. That's what they're there for. Of course, they're not knowing that themselves. They want this thing that the protagonist has, but that's the primary goal. So if you don't know these things, it could be an issue, and that's what causes problems. So too much backstory. 3, don't understand plot. 4, writing a book based off an incomplete premise. You want to write a book based off of something that happened, but you don't know the things that occurred before or after, okay? So especially if it didn't happen to you directly, that's not going to be enough. Now, you can build those worlds. You can make things up. That's what we do as writers. But you want to have more information. You don't want to ever write a book based off any one event. The next thing is page count fluffing. You just getting the page count out thinking folks not going to know. They are going to know, and they're going to throw the book down, and they're going to tell you about it. So you want to make sure you're not doing that. And then 6, they don't know the ending. And be careful with the ending. The endings don't have to be concrete. Whenever I write my ending, I write it in a way that will allow me to give myself some leeway if I want to change things up. Like I may know that the friends will reunite at the end, but how, I still allow myself some room to play with, okay? So I hope this helps, and I'm sorry that the other link didn't happen. What I think occurred, and I want to tell this to you guys if you're going live too, because I got a lot of my Elite Writer Squad babies watching. If you schedule a live from your laptop, then it's going to be an issue unless you're using your laptop. That laptop camera is a mess. Even though it's a MacBook and it's a newer one, it's a mess. Y'all would have hated it. But if you are using your phone, you need to schedule the live from your phone. So I couldn't find it under my scheduled events on my phone because I scheduled it from my computer. And I don't know if people know that. So that's why the link didn't work. But I'm going to update this and have it there for people who need to look at it. Okay, babies, I hope this helped. Please make sure you subscribe to me. Please make sure that you share, tell people. In the event you want more on structure, there's a link that's going to be in the bio. Click that link. It is a complete video course. It includes slides, and it gives you more detail in a visual way. So we're not just talking. You can visually see how you need to put your story together. I hope this helps. Have a great day, babies, and I will see you tomorrow. We're going to be talking about resources for urban fiction and writers in general. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. This thing is cold.